It can be hard to keep track of all the struggles and controversies surrounding EOS. First came the stop-and-go launch, followed by controversy over locked accounts, then more locked accounts, this time on the orders of an arbitrator that many in the community hadn't realized existed. Next came a fake order purporting to be from the arbitrator, the fallout from which led EOS architect Don Larimer to propose a whole new governance structure or constitution. Just one problem: there was and still is no system in place to vote on a constitutional change. Meanwhile, the voting scheme that is in place, for choosing the block producers, BPs, who maintain the EOS blockchain much as Bitcoin's miners do, has put several BPs that aren't following all the rules of the Constitution in charge. For some EOS community members, it was all too much. Take Douglas Horne, who told CoinDesk, "I'm a really big believer in the potential of EOS and of EOS.io software, and I came to believe that it was on a bad path. As such, Horne thought he could do better, and recently authored a white paper for Telos, a fork of the open-source protocol behind EOS called EOS.io. EOS is just one of several groups that have decided to take the software, tweak it and set up a new network. EOS Force is another example. They propose an EOS.io-based main chain with side chains incorporating features of Ethereum, Zcash and Cardano. Other is Ono, a social network that was going to launch on EOS but decided to fork it instead. EvolutionOS, which aims for more even token distribution and lower RAM prices, is airdropping Ethereum-based tokens and plans to launch its own EOS.io-based blockchain. And other examples include Wax and Weirbly. Telos, though, appears to be the fork with the most momentum and support. For instance, several of its team members were involved in the EOS launch, and in more than one case, those people are helping build Telos while continuing to support the EOS network. "We think the cross-pollination will benefit both Telos and EOS," said a team working as Kedon.io on Telos and EOS on the mainnet. According to Horne, Telos launch could come as soon as next month, with the aims to make two significant changes to the EOS that exists today: curtail the power of the largest token holders known as whales, and launch with more solidified governance mechanisms that can be enforced directly on the blockchain. Channeling Ahab, the first thing that stands out about Telos is the decision to cap the number of tokens any one address receives during the initial distribution at 40,000, with certain exceptions. The idea is to remove whales from the equation, primarily because on EOS tokens equal votes, and right now, there's a hyperconcentration of voting power in the hands of just a few, according to Horne. According to the Telos white paper, 1.6% of EOS holders own 90% of the tokens. The largest holder by far, with 10% of the total supply, is Block. 1. The company behind the EOS.io protocol, Larimer, is Block 1 CTO. Controversially, the company recently announced that it would use these tokens to participate in block producer votes going forward. To reduce the influence of these heavyweights, Telos will distribute its TLOS tokens to EOS investors according to the original snapshot, but with one big difference: it will lop off any holdings above 40,000, a move that Horne said would affect just 0.63% of accounts. Does that mean that communist Telos is going to steal their coins, as one Reddit user alleged? Horne doesn't think so, telling CoinDesk that no tokens are being taken from larger holders to give to someone else. Rather, the project is giving EOS whales brand new TLOS tokens, albeit fewer of them than they might have gotten otherwise. In this way, Horne expects Telos to eliminate the chance that token holders collude with BP candidates, who can currently earn the equivalent of thousands of dollars a day in EOS coins and might share those profits with the whales that elected them. Telos isn't alone in worrying about this phenomenon. One Telegram user recently wrote, "I'm sick of seeing 7 voters propping up Puppet BP for rewards. I consider that type of manipulation stealing." Additionally, block producers that are elected based on a few whales' votes sometimes fail to do their jobs. In a recent blog post, Ben Sigmund, a cryptocurrency investor that's written extensively about EOS, claimed that 7 of the top 21 VPs weren't complying with the rules, for example, by failing to maintain a public website or disclose ownership information. The only exceptions to the token cap on Telos, however, are the Telos Foundation itself, which is being allocated 6 million tokens, and the founding participants, who will split another 6 million. Horn defended this decision, pointing out that these tokens are less than 2% of the total supply and saying Telos founders are putting in a lot of effort and a lot of costs. Ready and on-chain. Telos' other main priority, Horn said, is that everything needs to be ready at launch. He said it was crazy for EOS to go live without all the necessary pieces in place, citing the arbitration system specifically. Horn said many users were confused and surprised when a largely unknown body called ECAF began issuing orders in June. Horn could also have mentioned the ability to vote in referendums, which is necessary to change the constitution, as Larimer has proposed doing. EOS Nation, a standby block producer, has begun testing a system for conducting referendums, according to a roadmap published in July, but EOS users still have no ability to propose or vote on protocol changes. For Horn, it's also important that all of these governance mechanisms, to the extent it's technically possible, happen on the blockchain, rather than on Twitter or in Telegram groups, where misinformation, such as the fake arbitration order, can easily circulate. It should be noted that ECAF has since improved its processes. No, everything's going to be on-chain. Who said off-chain? Horn said, in response to a question about off-chain governance, adding, on-chain. Telos arbitrators, for example, will be elected in a similar manner to block producers. This wasn't the case with the EOS launch, where arbitrators were selected through opaque off-chain processes. And while Telos' own constitution has not been finalized, Horn emphasized that bullshit that's unenforceable won't appear in it, such as the original EOS constitution's provision that members shall not initiate violence or the threat of violence against another member. The constitution should look like a contract or a software licensing agreement, Horn said, not something that Alexander Hamilton would write. Finally, Telos aims to increase network reliability and security by automatically kicking unresponsive or non-compliant block producers out of the top 21 slots, without waiting for a human arbitrator to weigh in. Meanwhile, standby block producers, the 30 immediately below the top 21, will periodically have to prove they're ready to step in, or their pay will be dinged. Healthy competition. Despite his criticisms of EOS, Horn stressed that EOS.io is a worthwhile project, and acknowledged that he and others now building Telos were themselves involved in the EOS launch. We're all part of this EOS.io community, Horn said, adding, we've had the tremendous chance to look at what was done in EOS and say, hey, if we were to start over again, what would we do different? Discounting the occasional accusation of theft or communism, the EOS community has been broadly accepting of Telos and other forks, giving EOS.io another go. I think that competition is good for the ecosystem, Daniel Keys, from EOS Nation, a standby EOS BP, told CoinDesk. A Reddit user echoed that sentiment, saying, I welcome the chance to see how it plays out. Perhaps they will try out some things that work and all of us can become better for the experiment. Fork shadows image via Ursula Spalding. Unsplash, the leader in blockchain news. CoinDesk is a media outlet that strives for the highest journalistic standards and abides by a strict set of editorial policies. CoinDesk is an independent operating subsidiary of Digital Currency Group, which invests in cryptocurrencies and blockchain startups.